Arranged marriages are either very successful or the woman kills herself.
All good people are asleep and dreaming.
I'm here with Rosalind Ross, and she's the author of The Theory of Objectivist Parenting, and she's one of the only people I've ever taken parenting advice from. And one of the first things we'd like to discuss is the first step to creating children, and that's mate selection. Why do you think a lot of women, they make such bad selections? Even very intelligent women do this. Why do you think women pick the men who have nothing to offer them? Even if they have money, they have nothing to actually offer the woman. They're not family oriented. They don't want any participation in raising the children. They don't want to enable their wife to be a good mother. I hear these stories all the time.
This is a relationship problem, and a relationship takes two people. So this woman isn't a victim, first of all.
No, why is she picking that way, though?
No, the reason your husband isn't interested in your family is 50% your fault. So I get it that it's 50% his fault. 50% maybe you picked a dud, but 50% you're not selling him. You are the wife. You want him to be involved in your family. Sell him on the idea of family. Sell him on the idea of being a provider and being a warrior for you, because that's what you're asking him to do. Sell him on the idea of children. If you fail to do that, there's no excuse. Well, there is. There's 50% excuse, but 50% you need to take responsibility and make that family something he wants to fight for, because that's what men do. My husband and I have this thing where we talk about poor people that are currently rich and rich people that are currently poor, because financial success is generally based on your personal characteristics and your abilities for delayed gratification often. And patience. And when I met my husband, he was a very poor person who was going to be rich. And it was very clear.
Mine too.
Yeah.
He lived in the Tenderloin.
I don't know what that is.
That's like where you have the rivers of piss in San Francisco and the people selling crack everywhere.
Ew! Mm-hmm. Oh, that's... Okay, so mine drove a car with duct tape for a window. And he had been working since he was 12 at minimum wage jobs. And he still had a minimum wage job. He'd been a dishwasher and a caddy at a golf course. He had put himself through college. He had zero debt. And he had $100,000 in the bank. If you meet a 22-year-old boy who's working minimum wage for the last 10 years... and has $100,000 in the bank.
Marry him.
And he was using it to buy a house, which was his first investment. Yeah, you marry him. So now no one can ever give me give him or me, like anyone who works for him, there's no excuse.
Right.
Ever. They're like, I make minimum wage. Yeah. I can't support blah, blah, blah.
He can hold them to an appropriate standard.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to develop and grow with someone. And to do that, you need to be aligned in your vision. And I often see, I'm not opposed to women marrying older men, but in my experience, I think it's just more fruitful if you marry someone similar to your age in a similar place in your life where you can go on your journey together and grow together.
I love growing up together.
Mm-hmm. And that way you're on level and on par and you motivate each other to do the things and instead of having someone
your dream together instead of like trying to force like your vision on someone else or
because otherwise one person's ahead and the other person is lost and you're trying to, it's a struggle. That does work. There's plenty of marriages where the man is 15 years older and the woman's ready to be that works too. But we can speak from experience the best. So that's our advice.
So if I give myself dating advice for Rosalind in her 20s, if I had it to do over again, I think I did very well, but I also think I made it work. Because you have to make it work. I think divorce is a tragedy and I would never do that.
Yeah.
And I think that at some point in your relationship, you decide we're going to make this work and we're going to figure out everything we need to figure out to make this work.
Why do you think couples today give up? I have people getting divorced all around me.
Because they have no project that they're doing together. They have no...
I see
they
that.
gave away their kids. The whole point, like you're together because you have this mission and that mission together, the project that you're working on, it's like a business relationship. Like we're raising this kid together and it's our project. We can't do a good job on our project if we break up. But most people give away their project. They give that project over to the government to be raised in the government schools. And that project becomes really unfulfilling to them.
Another thing I see a lot is women are very career oriented. They build an empire, they have a very good job, and then they're 40. And then they want a man who wants a family with them. But what kind of man do they want? They want a man on their level who makes lots of money. But a man who's 40 who also has an empire, wants a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old to have a family with.
Yeah.
So now she's stuck with a 50-year-old, if she's lucky. And at the same time, when a man is incredibly wealthy, he doesn't need an incredibly wealthy wife. I mean, he probably still wants an intelligent woman who's hardworking, but he doesn't need someone who brings in just as much money as him. So women think that's like an attribute, but it's really not. A man wants a woman who's a good mother, ultimately.
They're both making terrible mistakes. If you are the breadwinner, if you are a 40-year-old rich, successful woman, do you know what you want? You want a 25-year-old man who's pretty femme and wants to stay home with your kids. Because somebody has to raise your kids. And if it's a nanny doing it, they won't be your kids. If it's a boarding school doing it, they won't be your kids. You won't really like your kids. This is what I studied endlessly. This is the most interesting thing to me, is why wealthy families fall. Why shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. Why do wealthy people so often have children that suck, or so often have children that they hate?
Yes, because it's usually by the 3rd generation all the money's gone.
All the money's gone. I'm pro marrying with your head. And it's the same with your career choice. This whole like follow your passion, either when it comes to your career or your husband or your future mate, needs to be taken with a grain of salt.
I've been saying that love isn't a feeling, it's an action.
Yeah.
And when love is a feeling, it goes away and it makes you stupid.
Yeah.
And it's false.
You're on heroin for 2 years. The falling in love thing, it's really fun, but it's not realistic. Don't base anything on that part.